Imagine if art focused just on beauty, beautiful paintings, landscape, etc. Awesome, right? But think about death in all its sense. Can you consider that aspects as art? Today I'm going to talking about Damien Hirst, an artist who has a strong relation with death and controversy. There are some points that I like to make. First of all, I'll talk about the early years of the artist and the choice that has relation with him. Then I'll go into his work, next the genre and the relation with art, and lastly the summary. But let's begin with the early years of him. Hirst was born on June 7, 1965 in the United Kingdom, on a Catholic family raised Demi Hirst. His early religious education will be later a factor into his artwork. He showed interest in drawing, a passion his mother supported. His father, a car mechanic, left the family when he was only 12 years old. As a teenager, he likes to look at illustrated pathology books, fascinated by images of disease and injury. Later, Hirst studied art at the Goldsmiths College at the University of London. He and his fellow students become part of an emerging movement known as the Young British Artists. They were known as the unusual materials and the challenging art concept. Nowadays, Hirst is well known as an English artist, entrepreneur, and art collection. Besides, the world's richest living artist. I like now to discuss the choice of this artist. I choose him for the reason of his passionate way of carrying on his work and how he gives a new focus and meaning of death, a taboo concept for most of people. In fact, when I watched a video about his last work, my first reaction was, so insane is this work that I can consider it as art. But then I realized that art has no limits. That completes my overview of his personal story. Let's turn now to Damien's works. Damien's works is divided into different types of arts: the spin series, the spot series, and the natural history series. Firstly, the spin series. There are explosions of colors and chaos created by the gravity. Nowadays, they are displayed by a machine in which the paintings are revolved on a wall. For example, we have this beautiful revolving Sphincter 2003. Secondly, spot series. The term spot refers to pharmaceutical chemicals. In other words, the artist tried to show the viewer how drugs appears under the microscope. There, for instance, we have Valium 2000. That's the image that we have here. Finally, the natural history series. Here, the artists look for people who reflect about their mortality. We have a good example, The Mother and the Child Divided, 1993. You can see here an installation piece that features a dissected cow and her calf, displayed in 4 showcases filled with formaldehyde. Thanks to this work, Hirst won the Turner Prize in 1995. Now I like to expand more with other important works of Damien Hirst. The Physical Impossibility of Death in the Mind of Someone Living from 1991. This tiger shark is preserved formaldehyde. This shark itself was purchased for an Australian fisherman for $10,000. It's one of the iconic images for contemporary art. This shark inside reminds us the fragility and dangerous, as well as the protective role of the glass. Then we have For the Love of God in 2007. The origin of this title comes from Hirst's mother's exclamation. She used to say, "For the love of God, what are you going to do next?" This is one of the important and widely works that Hirst has made. This piece is made by a cranium with a lot of diamonds. This sold for $100 million, the highest price ever paid for a single work by a living artist. So that is the general picture of Hirsch's work. Now, the next topics that I like to focus on are the genre of Hirsch's art and art based on his work. Firstly, the genre of this artist are contemporary and conceptual. So what I'm saying here is that it has relation with the time that we are living, the present, now, and also the conceptual, the mental concepts that we have, that everything that has relation with. Secondly, I consider Hirsch's work as art, not only for the object, but also for the way he transmits his thoughts through his art, that it's important for the viewer in this case. The thought I'd like to leave you with is this talented artist is making history in art's world. If I were you, I would look for Hirsch's work, although you can understand at the beginning. Every piece of his revolutionary work and his fascinating personality makes me consider him as a brilliant artist. My intention today is to convince you to take the next step. Read more about Hirsch, watch some documentaries about his last work. So vital is to consider his art.